Hey, good morning. This is Joe from Citrus County Porch Life, bringing you Daily Word for Men for October 24th, 2024, Thursday. Today, the Lord has proclaimed to you to be His special people, just as He promised you that you should keep all His commandments. And that is from Deuteronomy 26:18, the New King James Version. Israel was chosen by God to be an example to the nations around them. He gave them land, blessed them, and promised that if they followed His law, they would dwell with eternal security with Him in their midst. And they failed miserably. He gave them over to the nations around them. They have been an example of both mankind's failure and restoration. God knew that they would fail, but not forever, because He had a plan through Christ. He used the law to demonstrate our wickedness. With laws, we follow our own hearts. Our hearts need healing before we can follow Christ's Spirit. Through Christ, He healed us and wrote the law in our hearts. He filled us with His Spirit, and now even those of us who are Gentiles can enjoy being chosen by Him. By His Spirit, we are all grafted in, confirmed as God's chosen people. And this quote from Deuteronomy is towards the end of Deuteronomy, when Moses is given the final instructions to the people of Israel before they move into the land of Canaan. And he already knows that he can't go with them, and Joshua will be leading them. And so many of them, of the men and the women and the children, died on the 40-year journey, 40 years to Canaan. But Joshua was a man of God, and he was allowed to go to the promised land. And Moses, because of differences with God, was told that he could not. He was allowed to view it, and he was happy that it was Joshua who was leading them. But it says in the quote, they failed miserably. He gave them over to the nations around them. And if you read Ezekiel, when Ezekiel is taken from captivity and allowed to see the temple, and you see all the idol worship in the temple and the people at the gate and the corruption with the money system and the sacrificial animals, everything was corruption there. Corruption. And he saved a very slim remnant and destroyed the temple and sent the people into exile. And that not many were allowed to come back, and they had to rebuild the temple. But their sin was so egregious at that time. Child sacrifice, little by little, they took over the idols that the people around them worshipped. They put them in nooks and crannies in the temple, which was the same as an abomination of desolation. When the emperor in Roman times had his statue put in the temple. And they needed the chastisement of being sent without anything to another land. And Ezekiel, obeying God's commandments, suffered greatly. He only had a little bit to eat, and he showed the people how, well, in medicine we call it cachexic, when you lose a lot of weight, like if you're on chemotherapy. He was an example to the people that this is what was going to happen to him. The Lord gave him specific instructions on how much he could eat. And he did that and began to lose weight. And he had to lay there for so many days. And what does it feel like to be adopted, chosen by God to be part of his family? Well, we learn later through Paul the great secret that the Gentiles were going to become part of God's chosen people. And that's what we are today. There still is no temple in Jerusalem. There is no sacrifice. You hear rumors that they have a red heifer and this and that they have plans to build. But certainly that would cause a worldwide conflagration. And God wanted it destroyed for a reason. And since Christ has come, he is the temple. He is the high priest. He is the sacrifice. And he is the one that offers the sacrifice. So for me, at least, it feels very good to be adopted into the chosen people of God and to be offered salvation. Not through the law, but through Christ. And that salvation was accomplished with his death in Jerusalem. So we all have great hope. Great hope. So that's it for me today. I hope you have a blessed October 24th. And it's awful hot today. It's like 86. I'm doing these a little bit ahead. I'm still waiting for my insurance company to get on the ball and give me a call back about the roof. That hasn't happened. I have the insurance, so I'm not worried that I'm going to be... I have a copay, but a deductible, but I just would like them to get on it. Luckily, we're entering into the non-rainy season, so we won't be seeing any more 18-inch storms, but I'd like to get the roof fixed. I don't want to have to deal then with leaks. Haven't had any leaks yet. So God bless. Have a safe day. Talk to you tomorrow.